Well, how are you doing? I know every day is different. How do you feel today?
Yes, it is the strange thing about MS. It really is so variable and changes. I'm feeling really great now. I mean, I'm here with you. We're in front of a fire. I have my dog. I'm going to see my horse. I wrote a book.
The book is phenomenal. I'll just say it. You are a writer, Selma Blair.
Thank you. It means so much.
It's hard enough to write a book. It's harder still to do it when you don't have all your faculties about you every day.
It was the kindness of strangers who are no longer strangers, Brittany Bloom and my book agent at the book group, and Julie, the space they held for me and helping me type. I would send on a yellow legal pad and take a picture. Be like, can you type this? And now, of course, now that the book's finished, I can read them right just fine. Suspicious.
I know. Funny how that works.
But we got through it.
And how do you feel knowing it's about to be out in the universe?
I'm thrilled because when I did come out with the MS diagnosis, it really felt freeing. But mostly to see that it helped other people just have a touchstone made me feel really good. It made me feel more useful. I'd always get on myself, oh, you're lazy, you want to sleep. But then when I realized just at least by the act of being as honest as I could, it did something for other people, and that in turn empowered me. And it's just a whole thing of we're all in this together.
Well, it's called Mean Baby. You got to explain the title.
When I was just born, people came over to visit the new Beitner baby. That was my last name. And they ran out of that house. These teenagers, don't go over there. The Beitners have a mean baby. And it stuck. The things you're called, how they become part of your story, whether you mean to or not sometimes.
You write in the book about some very painful episodes, including you wrote about a teacher, an educator who violated you. And you say, he didn't rape me, but he broke me.
He broke me. I loved him. Loved him. Father figure. Having a personal betrayal of someone that loves you, be so inconsiderate of your life path, really hurt. It hurt me, and I miss him still as a friend, the person that I had met and cared for as a mentor. But
it feels to me you were quite courageous.
I discovered wonderful things writing the book, like how much I had witnessed of friends and what I'd witnessed and what a gift that was here, and even, how much I loved sharing things with people. But it wasn't until writing this book, and there is this mention of a rape, it was something I didn't even think of, because I think there were so many trespasses on my life, or things were cloudy with my shame, such a deep shame of my drinking in the past, that I was talking one day to Brittany, and I immediately told this after this spring break trip, and I said, but I won't, I'm not going to write that in the book. And she said, well, maybe you want to. And then I thought, oh, of course I have to. So many people have had some similar experiences that you just tuck away, because you think people are going to say, what did you do? And why didn't you report? And why didn't you do? I was a kid. I was young. And even now, it's hard to report stuff. It's hard. It's really hard. And so I put it in the book, and I even cringed as I was doing the audiobook, because I thought, how many more stories do I have like this that I didn't even acknowledge, because there's so many. And I felt so sad for my body. I felt so sad.
It kind of took the book and this process to even make you realize that you were a victim.
People can take advantage. And then you're just too ashamed to say anything, and then you just bury it, and you bury it. You really do. And things do come back later when you're in a safer spot. But you still feel unsafe to say it. But I realize I am safe. And yeah, I am glad it's in the book. It's a big deal to have these things happen and to hold that shame in your cells like it's you. Like it's all you are, is someone that's not worth helping on the side of the road, that you're worth someone to say, she's nothing. I'll never see her again. She's probably passed out the whole night. You know.
Well, the body remembers.
The body remembers. And I want it to remember some love. I want it to remember this day. I want to remember this pink sweater and this dog and my son. I want to remember. I want to remember all the things that feel good. Yeah. I want other people to, too. Yeah. Don't be so indignant because we can't all have our ways. Let's move forward and help each other. Yeah. Sometimes when horrible things happen, the shame cycle is so big. And I wanted to say, there is no real room for guilt in moving forward. There isn't. There's not much I feel ashamed of anymore, because it just happened, and I did it, or someone did it to me, and I'm okay now. But things will keep happening, and I'll keep having to figure out how to rise above.
And in some ways, it's that frame of mind that helped you finally get rid of alcohol and kick alcohol out of your life. How did you finally conquer it? What made the difference for you?
It was only self-medicating, and it wasn't working anymore. And when there was public humiliation and I owned it, there's no going back. I mean, now that I was a mother, it just changed everything.
I think that's incredibly inspiring. When you've made mistakes, you own them, and you turn the page, and you smile and go forward.
You do what you can to make it right for those affected and yourself. And it's important that you acknowledge, really acknowledge, and nothing's going to help by still beating yourself up.
You write in the book, I desperately love a story. We all have one. I carry mine inside me. You carry yours inside you. I can hear mine now in my own voice, strong and clear. What's your story?
My story is that people would say to me, and I would roll my eyes when they, don't give up before the miracle, don't commit suicide, because I really was. I could not picture living long. But I think that my story really is that I am figuring it out now, and I am kind to myself, and I really do have the capability to love.
You're not the mean baby.
I'm not the mean baby. I mean, we all can be a mean baby sometimes.
Well, she needs to come out sometimes.
I mean, for sure.
Let's talk about your mom. It struck me that she was extraordinarily complex, glamorous, and beautiful, and dynamic, and also emotionally elusive to you at times, and sometimes cruel.
I mean, I still adore my mother. She's the most important. My sisters, we cherish her, adore her. She's on a pedestal. But no, she was not a cuddly woman. She was a role model. She was a judge. She was a million things. But her idea of me was not going to be met with what I was, I guess. I find it is so universal that we adore our parent so much, but it's complicated.
I felt how torn you could be about your mom, who you clearly adored, and she adored you. And yet there were stories that you reveal in the book that are kind of jaw-dropping.
It's hard because when you grow up with someone like that, you don't realize, because I'm a little like her too. You know, so you don't realize how like outlandish some things can seem when someone's kind of eccentric.
Yeah.
But my son said it to me. I told him, you know, my mother, she was so critical by nature. And he's like you. And I'm like, oh, I am, but I think you're perfect. He's like, all you do is nag at me. Oh, wow. Like, that's my kind of love language, thinking I could pick apart someone to make them better or something.
I was really struck by when you were a little girl, one of the first things you learned is your mom saying, I wasn't sure when I was pregnant with my last baby that I really wanted to have a baby.
But you know, in her defense to say, I didn't want you, it wasn't meant to be hateful. She meant it to say, oh, that would have been such a mistake to get rid of you. Thank God I have baby Blair.
What was it like to grow up in that house?
I felt like dying growing up. I mean, I did. And that's why I feel like I'm such a miracle right now that I actually want to live. I want to be here. I want to enjoy this. I was so confused and lost and terrified. I was a terrified baby.
And your mom would introduce you as, and this is Blair
this is
or
Blair,
Selma.
Selma, both. I went by both. This is Selma. This is the manic depressive. I have never been diagnosed with mania or depression tons.
That's a label to put on a little kid.
But, you know, it's dramatic. I think she meant it as a badge of honor. Like, I don't suffer fools. Like, we got real problems here. My kid's very grounded. She's very deep and disturbed. You know, I think that she felt it out of gravity.
Why were you so scared as a little girl?
Who wouldn't be? Look at where we are. It's so weird. And then you know you're going to die one day, and your mother's going to die, and your sisters. I mean, it's terrifying to be a child and so readily be able to explore the scarier things in life. It was a preoccupation. And I'm sure that drinking probably really cemented that feeling in me.
You had your first drink when you were a little girl, 7 years old.
Yeah, my first drunk when I was 7. I had my first drinks, you know, much younger.
Can you tell me about that?
I thought it was God. It was at Passover Seder's that I had my first drinks, and I always thought that was God. And then when I realized it wasn't, I was like, how convenient. It's in a bottle. I mean, it's even as a little kid, you're like, that's a comfort.
So you started at 7, you drank through elementary school, middle school, high school, college. How did you do it? I mean, how did you function?
I don't know how I did it. It all makes sense why I was so exhausted. But it was hard. I don't know. But maybe it was easier. Maybe I would have never survived without a drink.
How did it relieve your pain and your fears?
Transitions have always been hard for me, and the MS made that very evident. So the drinking it made me feel warm and comfortable and part of people on this earth.
You had a lot of physical ailments since you were a little girl. I mean, you tell the story about telling your mom your leg hurt.
She's like, cut it out, Selma. I mean, I was made fun of my whole life for that leg. And I'm like, this
and it was
this leg.
It was
leg
that
I can't
leg.
feel. Yeah, it was.
And you had a fever for 3 years.
I did. It was a big deal. I mean, doctors thought I had leukemia. We didn't know. I didn't. But I had a constant high fever. I had so many things that were so indicative of MS growing and optical neuritis young and losing my vision for good.
Do you feel, when you look at those physical ailments as a child, have you ever been told that probably was the beginning of MS, or that's somehow connected?
Absolutely, the ailments as a kid connected. I don't know if I really did have juvenile MS at like 6 when we noticed my eye was first going or movements, but I do know for sure I had it by the age of 23, and it was definitely there for so long. And the pain is still there. I'm in remission. I built no new lesions, but I still have some brain damage and things that are there, but I'm okay with it. I'm okay. I'm grateful because I'm doing so much better.
Let's talk about your MS diagnosis. How do you feel about the fact that it took so long to get a proper diagnosis?
It never occurred to me. Never occurred to me to have a neurological illness.
That was the onset of MS, which is just a symptom of a really unhealthy immune system.
I thought I had a million things that weren't what they were, and I would have been a lot kinder to myself if I didn't feel the need to self-medicate or check out or get through. I mean, I wasn't always checking out. I was really trying to be as capable as I could be, and I had no idea, and I was really cruel to myself. I treated myself like garbage.
And the medical community sometimes was saying, maybe it's in your mind.
It's like, oh, you're fine, you're dramatic, you're talkative, But I would say, I am so tired, I can't move, and this has been going on for 20 years. Even that doctor that diagnosed me, he was saying this might be functional, emotional, what traumas happened. And I fell asleep in his office, and he said to my boyfriend at the time, what's she doing? And he's like, oh, she falls asleep everywhere. And he's like, oh, wait, stand up. Put your arms out, shut your eyes. Plank, fell over, had no idea of proprioception. I didn't know I had proprioception issues. I didn't know that my vision was a hallway. Because if you've had it your whole life, you just think that's how everyone is. It was mind-blowing to realize there was a diagnosis for this and that other people have it and don't know. And I don't mean to be tough on the doctors, but you really got to do better for the women. You have to do better for all of us in diagnosing these things.
You didn't have to come out publicly. You didn't have to share your journey. Why did you make that choice?
I hadn't worked for years because I had been so sick, and it was kind of flaring worse because I was going back to work. I was getting on planes. The planes make it worse. I was falling apart in airports. I couldn't get out of the fetal position or else my body would spasm. And I was getting vertigo all the time. And the doctor even said, with the best intentions, don't tell people. Like, just don't. We're going to get this under control. But because I had such a bad reaction to the first treatment, it made it so much worse. I was really having a lot of movement and speech difficulties that were exacerbated by the prednisone. It just kept getting worse as the diagnosis went on. So the stem cell really helped. But coming out and talking about it, the story would be told anyhow. So I wanted to gain control of that. And I didn't realize how empowering it would be and how empowered I would be to then tell the truth forevermore after that.
What did you think when you started seeing the reaction?
I was so touched. And I felt so thrilled. Oh, this is what it is to just be a human and show up. And to think that there's even a moment that I could have comforted someone or given them an option or think about maybe if stem cells right for them. I'm really, really happy to be able to walk into this space of empowerment and realizing I am a calm and stable grown-up. I'm okay, even though I've not always been.
You had a big night at the Vanity Fair party. That was your first night coming out since your diagnosis. What did it take to do it, and what did it mean to you to be there?
I had no idea how much it would mean to show up trying to look my best in a really aggressive flare, and that was a real coming out party for me because I know it meant something to other people and certainly to people with more radical disabilities to see an in, oh right, this world is ours too. We might not see the ramp there on the stage, but there's people coming to use it, and I'm going to be one of them.
I remember our moment meeting.
And I loved you so much, and you were such a sister to me. And we were in the bathroom, and I felt really nervous, and you really took my hand. I had the cane, I had the dress, but everyone scurried away, as they should, and you stayed. I was overwhelmed that night, and it was hard. I was afraid that I would vomit. That used to happen out of nowhere. I was afraid I'd trip and ruin the dress. Just really very real things of, oh my God, I'm not in the same body. And I just cried because of gratitude, but also, I don't know if I can get through this night.
Yeah, it was courageous. You wrote that you never practiced the Oscar speech in front of a mirror, that you never really had those leading lady aspirations.
No.
Why not?
I never felt I was the one leading the pack here. I was very comfortable to witness the greats and be a part of it. But I dare say I'd probably chase that leading lady role a little harder now. But I didn't have it in me before. I didn't want to.
Well, maybe you
will. I didn't even want to, but maybe I will one day. Maybe it will be there for me. I mean, I'm improving on all the ways. But consistency is really key on a set, and the energy, and certain triggers will make my body do different things. And I'm not embarrassed of it, but I don't want to take people's time. But yet I would like to. I saw Christine Applegate, she did the last season of Dead to Me, and she was really dealing with a lot of major health challenges, and watching her do it, that was an inspiration. So it's like, okay, if I were ever be able to go back to work, I'd want it to be incredible.
Yeah. That brings us to the documentary, because the documentary really tells the story. When I watched the documentary, the word that I thought of was fearless. You were fearless.
I'm so sorry, I can't talk right now. We're shooting the final days of my life.
You showed it all.
Yeah.
Why did you want to do that?
Because what I was going through with MS looked nothing like, I just couldn't find it. Jen Brea, she did a documentary I saw called Unrest. She had like an inflammatory, like there was an encephalitis issue, and very similar to what I was going through. And I thought, I can't believe a woman is showing this and not afraid someone's going to put her in a straitjacket.
And if you say too much, they think you're a mental patient.
The doctor would tell me, you're just dehydrated. Everyone gets stressed.
I was always so afraid of losing credibility. And so she gave me permission. That documentary of opening her life made me feel like I had permission to also have that impact for someone. I've had MS many years. I had a very late diagnosis. I've had it at least 25 years, at least. So I had nothing. There was any embarrassment I could get over. But if there's someone else that it would move the needle for them to have some agency in their life and to trust themselves, no matter how odd or dramatic or nothing their symptoms might be from day to day. Because this is the stuff I was afraid of.
Let's talk about Arthur, that sweet boy. In a way, the documentary was for him. Why did you want him to see this someday? Has he seen it?
He has seen it, finally. He went to the premiere. He is. He's like, it wasn't that boring. Thanks. He liked it. When I was going to do stem cell, I thought, because I felt so physically and emotionally so awful and drained, that I did think there's a chance I won't make it. And so I did want that to be to him, knowing that if I did go, because my body had given out, that I wanted him to know that I really wanted to be here with him. I really wanted to take the steps that it took to be here. Because I was really one of those people that was like, no way, even if I have cancer, I'll never do chemo. That's just the worst thing for your body. I had a real feeling about that. And then when I felt the chemo and I felt better, it's like, okay, just let go of what you're thinking and just try and feel better for your son. But yeah, you can die. I thought if anyone would die, it would be me in that moment, because I was just so tired. Oh. So I did it for him, really, to just say, I did want to communicate with you. You're too young to really care now, and I don't tell you, but I want you to know you're the first thing on my mind and the last thing on my mind.
You fought to still be here.
Yeah.
With everything you've got.
Well. I really did, and I know we all will come to times where we're going to have to fight harder than we think, and I was supported. I was lucky.
What do you hope he sees when he sees you moving through the world?
I hope he sees that when you have something that could potentially be a real setback, in time, it might not happen right away, but in time, set yourself up to recover, you know? And I don't want him to feel ashamed or too scared that he can't move forward. I am so grateful that I'm moving forward, because I did not want to my whole life. I wanted to figure out how to die with the least pain possible. And I don't now.
What kind of mom do you think you are?
Embarrassing. I talk too much to strangers. But I think I am fun. He loves that I'm willing. If he wakes me up in the middle of the night and he can't sleep, it's like, okay, let's go find an adventure. Like for an hour, and then we'll go back to bed. There's things that I see that I was scared of that he doesn't have at all. I give him. He does not want the effusive love that I craved from my mother. So he'll have his own memoir about how I, tried to kiss him too much. But I give him tons of space. I can really see him as his own person, but I love that I'm the person he comes to, that he trusts the most.
You went and saw a psychic or a fortune teller, and this person told you you're going to be an advocate.
It was Tyler Henry. And I was like, is there anything in my future? And he's like, I don't really see you acting. And I was like, cut the tapes, guys. I want people to think. But I had been really sick for a long time, and he did say, I see you being an advocate. I never saw in a million years that I would be an advocate of let's calm, regroup, and figure out how to move forward. And I'm here.
Your inspiration comes from overcoming, whether it's MS or addiction or abuse or hardship, or it's overcoming.
It's such a relief to give myself permission to say it's okay. No matter what, the guilt doesn't move through. I have to realize that.
It's okay to be
light. So it's not that I'm being cocky of saying like, oh, forgive myself for these things, but truthfully, you're not going to help anyone else until you've forgiven yourself. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Find your favorite recipes, celebrity interviews, uplifting stories, shop our favorite deals, and so much more with the Today app. Download it now.